Alrighty guys, what is going on? We are back and we are going to be talking about some more tweets today. The other day we did make a video talking about some of the changes that we can expect coming very soon to Vanguard Season 1. And Sledgehammer Games has been out on Twitter again, twitter.com, busy time. So basically in a tweet the other day they did mention that they were nerfing the fire damage incendiary and giving us ways to more effectively actually counter that. That does include incendiary damage, including like your incendiary grenades, your thermite, as well as the incendiary grenades from weapons, and occasionally you will get those fire-based kill streaks, and they can be a little bit of a problem here. So we have a way, we got the thread from Sledgehammer on Twitter today. We're going to be talking about how they are dealing with fire damage in Vanguard. Just before we get into it here though, make sure you do hit that subscribe button with those notifications turned on if you do want to stay up to date with all things that is Vanguard, especially those twitter.com updates, man. As well as that, make sure you show the like button some love too, because that really does get these videos to as many eyes as possible, as well as help cut through the YouTube algorithm. So if we do take a look here, we can see the tweet they did put out with how we are dealing with fire damage in Vanguard. This is pretty important because fire damage is actually very significant, especially that incendiary grenade, which did come in the battle pass in the season 1 update. That thing is still very powerful in this game, but as we're about to talk about here, they're actually nerfing it, and that is very exciting. So starting us off here, we do have, first and foremost, we are nerfing incendiary grenades by reducing the overall damage dealt. That means if you are running through them in core modes, they will still hurt you, but you will recover and you will eventually get over it. I do believe it takes about 5 seconds. I think it's like 1 tick per second, I believe. And it does about 20 damage per tick, I think. These are the numbers off the top of my head. Either way, I think it takes about 5 ticks for you to actually get a kill. I imagine that it's going to make the damage numbers slightly less, so it actually takes a little bit longer. Maybe it ticks slower. They're just going to be reducing that number, so you are actually able to run through it. I imagine still, if you are just stood there minding your own business and you are cooking, like you're just standing in an incendiary grenade, you're probably still going to die eventually, regardless of whether you have any perks or anything like that. You're still going to die pretty quickly. We are also going to give players 2 new ways to fight fire damage, being Fortified and Dauntless. They are changing these 2 perks here. We did mention the other day when we did see this initial tweet, we were like, hey, I wonder what they're going to do. There does appear to be 2 different ways that we're going to be able to counter this, but we don't know what they are yet. I guess Fortified and then something else. But it was actually turning out to be Fortified and Dauntless, which is pretty cool. Fortified will significantly reduce incoming fire damage, including the initial effects after getting hit with a Molotov. Dauntless will grant immunity when moving through fire. It will not protect against initial impact like direct damage from the Flame Nauts. So it is interesting that both of these choices are in the tier 1 perk slot. Of course, Fortified is the explosive damage one, and this also including fire damage, as it pretty much should from the start. I guess they kind of didn't want the incendiary damage from like the ammo choice to just be really bad straight out of the gate. So they let it sit for a little while, and now once they have realized that it's actually, yeah, that's a little bit powerful, especially from the incendiary grenade that everybody is running around with at the moment. I'm sure you've seen the games of the screenshots of shipment. You've been in it, everybody chucks an incendiary grenade out, and it just looks like hell. It's just the worst thing in the world. But also Dauntless being able to grant immunity when you are sprinting around moving through that fire. Now it's interesting that both of these are in the perk 1 slot. So really you're not going to be that impervious to fire. Imagine you just had Fortified and Dauntless at the same time. You sprint around everywhere, literally ignoring fire damage. That would make someone's utility kind of useless, as well as meaning that they just didn't really do damage with their like incendiary ammo or anything like that. That'd kind of be interesting, give a direct counter to something like that. But I'm not sure if that really fits for Call of Duty too much. I think that Fortified significantly reducing the incoming fire damage is very good, as well as when you do get hit by a Molotov cocktail. It does happen fairly frequently. Somebody does chuck a Molotov at you and you're just like, oh, that hurts real bad. I feel like that is going to be quite beneficial, and if you do really hate going to fire damage in this game, Fortified is probably going to be your best option. But if you also hate fire damage, but you like to be a little bit more aggressive, you like to push through, as we're about to talk about, the Incendiary Grenade was a little bit designed off really just to sort of deny space. And if you do just want to be able to sprint through that, Dauntless is probably going to be the option for you. It will mean that you are immune when you do move through that fire, which is actually quite beneficial, and it will actually help you win more gunfights. When you do run through, the enemy might expect you to take a little bit of damage here, and you're just got full health, and you get a kill on them. However, if somebody does just chuck a Molotov at your head and it hits you, you're still going to take a bit of damage from the direct hit, but when you are moving through that fire, you're still going to be okay. As we did mention previously, we sort of touched on this just a little bit. The original goal of the Incendiary Grenade was to close off space. As I said, this was supposed to be just designed as like an initial area denial tool. As we have seen in previous games, like Molotovs and smoke grenades are really about denying that line of sight and denying people being able to move through that area. But unfortunately, it wasn't really balanced properly for those small maps. As you have seen, the shipment with all of the incendiary grenades, it looks like hell, man. Like, you're literally just surrounded by fire all the time, and that does feel really bad. It's going to feel less bad when you are running around with Dauntless and, of course, Fortified now. we are confident that this first wave of change will have a positive impact on using and dealing with incendiaries and fire damage. I feel like this is a fantastic change. This is something that we're pretty much expecting from the rip. Like, we really needed to change for a while. But of course, it was Christmas time, the holiday season. They weren't in the office, so they couldn't actually get anything done. But now they are back. We should be seeing a lot more changes fairly soon. At a later time, we're also reducing the area of affected by those incendiary grenades, smokes, and flames, meaning it's going to be ideal for blocking off lines of sight indoors and sort of smaller areas, and it's not just going to be a massive smoke cloud. We also talked about this a little bit in the previous video that we did make on this subject when we were initially thinking about what they could do. One of the actual best uses for the incendiary grenade at the moment is actually using it as a bit of a smoke grenade, because it does do that damage, but it also increases that smoke cloud, meaning you can move around. It's like a fantastic piece of utility, even if you aren't getting killed and dealing damage with it. It's just a really good smoke grenade. So this is here. This will still mean you can block off longer lines of sight like doors and stuff like that, stuff that is a little bit smaller, but it's going to be a little less effective at those big open areas of smoke, and I feel like this is a good change as well. Definitely something that we called for previously. And there's going to be more to come on this a little later. I imagine there's going to be a couple of patches coming fairly soon. I'm sure we're getting the mid-season update very soon, including the well gun coming soon as well. And all of these changes are going to go into that update as well. And then I guess they're going to be adding this second list of changes to, like, including the decreased area of that smoke grenade as well, meaning we can actually get a couple more changes with this. I like these updates. These are pretty cool. We've been taking player feedback to heart and fully committed to improving the multiplayer experience. Stay tuned for more information about the changes upcoming in the next update. That's very exciting. I do love when we do get changes to these games, especially stuff that is fairly overdue to be changed, especially like fire damage. That's been a little bit of a complaint for pretty much the entirety of the game. So definitely a pretty good list of little changes here. Definitely something that did need to be addressed for a little while, especially being able to just get that extra like incendiary damage reduction from, of course, fortified. I think the change to dauntless is actually pretty cool as well, being able to be immune when you are sort of sprinting and running around through the fire. I think that is a cool little change. Again, I'm very much looking forward to them reducing the size of the smoke cloud and the fire sort of effect that you do get from the incendiary grenade. That's coming a little while away, but I still do appreciate that change, because at the moment it's like literally the best piece of utility in the game. You do not need to run a smoke grenade. Pretty much free stim shots, I guess, unless you want to run something else. And basically, it's just the best lethal option at the moment. So making it a little bit less effective, does less damage, of course, sort of reduce that area as well. I think this is a pretty good change. The way that I'm going to deal with this change is after the initial patch does go through where they do make the damage nerfs to this, I'm probably still going to use the incendiary grenade, as it is a fantastic piece of utility that we talked about previously with that smoke grenade-like effect. But once they do actually nerf the size of that smoke, maybe reduce the sort of visual effect of the fire, I'm probably going to go back to using something like a gammon bomb, as I think that will be a little bit more effective at securing those kills. But we will be looking forward to very much what we do get from future updates, of course. We're very much looking forward to the well gun getting added to the game, hopefully very soon, and more updates, including weapon balancing and stuff like that. Hopefully that comes very soon as well. I'd expect it to come next week, but I'm not 100% sure exactly when that's going to happen. Again, if you do want to stay up to date with all of the updates that we can get from Vanguard, including all the Twitter coverage that we can handle from Sledgehammer Games, make sure you do hit that subscribe button with those notifications turned on. I do very much appreciate it, and it really does help me out. And again, we are still looking for 6,000 subscribers, and if you could help me achieve that goal, that would be absolutely fantastic. So again, thank you very much for watching, as I said, and hopefully I will see you in the next one. Bye!